Hello, I'm going to be reading an excerpt from Book 2 of the Embodied Trilogy, Starley's Rust. In Chapter 2, Carrie, the main character, goes back to her hometown in Wisconsin, and her best friend tells her that she's seen a unicorn in an abandoned barn. Carrie goes to investigate. I had the strangest feeling, like a disruption in the atmosphere, but also in my mind. The air changed somehow, and I heard a rumbling of distant thunder. I could have sworn that the fading daylight got brighter for a few seconds. The hair stood up on the back of my neck. It made me stop moving. Then reality seemed to snap back to normal. I kept going toward the farmhouse. I saw something move. The setting sun had backlit the barn, so it was hard to be sure what it was. A horse, I think. A big black stallion moving around in the barn. My mind filled in the blanks. Probably a horse that had escaped from a neighboring farm and made a new home for itself here. Okay, cool. No mystery. Maddie must have seen it, and her mind made it fit the legend. I laid Maddie's bike down in the grass, careful not to make a sound. I tiptoed toward the barn, not wanting to startle it. I turned on the flashlight app on my phone. Clouds were gathering, the light was fading. More distant thunder. I just needed to find it, take a photo, and show Maddie. Her grandfather would know what to do, how to capture it safely and find its owner. I entered the barn, still creeping quietly. Ooh, it certainly smelled like a barn. There was hay strewn around on the ground. My phone flashlight was practically useless. It illuminated a patch like 5 feet in front of me. In the dim light, I could make out a row of stalls on each side, and a hayloft up ahead with a ladder propped against it. Now I thought about it, the smell was kind of weird. I grew up around here, and although I'd never spent any time on a farm, I sensed that there was some kind of extra, non-farm smell here. Hard to identify, but yucky and familiar all the same. Was that an animal noise in one of the stalls on the left? Or just the wind blowing through the holes in the walls? I crept toward the stall very, very carefully. My hand holding the phone was shaking. Come on, Carrie, get a grip. The sides of the stalls weren't high enough to conceal a horse, unless it was lying down in the hay, of course. I reached the stall where I thought I'd heard the noise. I waited a second, held my breath, then stepped in front of the stall's open gate. It was empty. And that's when the hair stood up on the back of my neck again. But this time there was another, all too familiar feeling along with it. It was the feeling I had when noon was in my head, yet not exactly the same. This was unpleasant, even disturbing, and somehow stranger. I spun around. In the barn doorway stood the black stallion. Protruding from its forehead was a long tapered horn. It really was a unicorn.